On this episode of Curtain Call, we take a trip through time to learn about the historic King's Theatre in Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia. Towering over the streets of Annapolis Royal, the King's Theatre has been a stalwart of the area for over a century. Over those years, the building has gone through many evolutions and now stands as a venue where the past meets the present in both presentation and technology. Today, the King's Theatre is run by a board of directors and is being led by Executive Director Janet Larkman, in hopes that the theatre will run for another 100 years and beyond.
I'm Janet Larkman. I'm the Executive Director at King's Theatre here in Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia. Being Executive Director means you do a lot of different things. So it's Artistic Director, but it's also General Manager of the theatre. I have a wonderful staff team that I work with, a wonderful board of directors, and of course, work with all of the artists and community groups. Being Executive Director means that you're the point person for everything that goes on at the theatre. The King's Theatre Society is the organization that operates King's Theatre. The building itself is owned by the town of Annapolis Royal, and they very generously allow the King's Theatre Society to manage it. And the society is comprised of the members of the theatre, and it's run by the volunteer board of directors. And we have an incredible board of directors who are so dedicated to this organization, and they bring incredible expertise. Their job is to make sure that we are fiscally responsible and on track, and that we meet our mission and mandate, which is to make this a welcoming space that is accessible and inviting to everyone in the community. In this role, I started in 2016, and prior to that, I've been around in the community for 30 years, and so if you live in this community, you're going to be involved with King's Theatre, for sure. So, of course, I had many years as a patron, as a volunteer. I did some stuff on the stage, served on the board, served as chair of the board, all those different roles that many of us in the community play. And when the opportunity became available to take on a role in the leadership of the theatre, it just seemed like the right fit for me and for the organization. And it's been a blast. Performance in the arts has actually been part of the culture here with the Mi'kmaq people since time immemorial. The details of that history is not something that we have access to, other than to know that the Annapolis Royal area, Gesbuik, has always served as a very important gathering place for the Mi'kmaq people. The first kind of recorded information that we have about the history of performance in this area goes back to the early 1600s, when the first settlers were here, and they did a performance on the Annapolis Basin area called the Theatre of Neptune. And then in the late 1800s, there was a hall built called Fullerton Hall, where there was, stage performances and audiences and so on. That burned down. There's a lot of the stories of Annapolis Royal, as is the case of many small towns, of fires. So after the Fullerton Hall burnt down, the Academy of Music was built. That served as both a live performance venue and also When motion pictures came in, it became a motion picture venue as well, and eventually was renamed the Bijou Dream Theatre. In 1920, there was a major fire in Annapolis Royal that destroyed half the town, including the Bijou Dream Academy of Music space. And so the major owner of that space was a man named Arthur King, who was a leader in the town. And he did not waste one single second. He said, we need a performance space in this town, and very quickly purchased a new piece of land, that became available because the building that was on it had burned down, and immediately started construction of what is now known as King's Theatre, named after Arthur King. This theater that we're in right now is the space that was built during that time, and it actually only took 11 weeks. Is that possible? That doesn't even make sense. It was crazy how fast they built this space. And so it opened in November of 1921 and has been operating continuously as a multi-purpose live performance and film venue since then. So over 100 years, it's been an absolutely vital piece of cultural infrastructure and community gathering space in Annapolis Royal. I think pretty much anyone that you ask in town will say that King's Theatre has a really important place in their heart. People who have grown up here remember the first movie that they came to as a child here, the first live show that they saw. Many, many people have been involved in King's Theatre in a variety of different ways, including on the stage. This is a very vital place for community theatre and really anything that the community wants to do. So it is a venue for local productions as well as professional touring productions that come through. It's the kind of space where everybody has the opportunity to participate in whatever way works for them. The kind of programming that we do is so diverse. We aim to have something for everyone. So everybody's going to come at some point to see the thing that they want to see. But it's also really possible to participate either on the stage or behind the scenes. And a lot of people have worked here as staff over the years because there's many, many roles to play to make a space like this work. One of the really great things about Annapolis Royal is that we are very much a local community. So we don't have really franchise businesses. Pretty much all of the businesses in the community are locally owned by local entrepreneurs. And so we have deep relationships with all of the businesses in the community, and the people in the community feel fantastic about supporting the businesses because it's this very nurturing and healthy ecosystem. We are really aware of how we all kind of affect each other. So when King's Theatre is busy, the other businesses in town are busy too. The accommodations are going to be full because a lot of people travel from outside the community and they make a weekend of it and they stay over. We all support each other. We all know each other. We all love each other. And it's a great environment for everybody.
While currently active with a wide array of events, that wasn't quite the case just a few years ago, when the doors of the King's Theatre were forced to stay closed, like many others in the province.
Like everybody, COVID happened here too, and it was such a precarious time for everybody. So many ups and downs, and we all just weathered through it and learned what we could and supported each other as best we could. From the moment that we were allowed to fully reopen and welcome people back, we just said, okay, we're going to offer full-on programming. We're really just going to go for it because we want to invite and welcome people to come back, to remember what it's like to be in a shared space together, to laugh and cry together, to breathe together. We think that that's vital to the spiritual well-being of a community, and that it's very profound. There are times when we have, 5 shows in a week. That's not uncommon at all, and we do this year-round. So our aim really is to make sure that everyone in the community feels welcome and that they just feel like this is their place. We have to do it a lot so that people start thinking, I wonder if there's something on at King's Theatre, but I wonder what's on tonight. You know, we all during COVID got used to hunkering down in our safe space, in our living rooms. And that's great, it's great, but it's not the only thing. We need human connection, so that's what we offer.
The exterior of the King's Theatre is hard to miss, as the tall structure politely demands that you take a look when you pass by. Inside is a celebration of history, art, technology, and so much more. Immediately upon entry, you will be met with a beautiful old film projector, reminding all visitors of what had come before. Above the projector, you'll find flashes of the past with pictures, promotional posters, and even tickets from the different eras of the theater's rich history. After taking a walk through the past, the box office sits to your left, ready to set you up with a ticket to your next favorite show. Once those tickets are in your hand, head into the lounge area to discover a room filled with local artist creations and a place to grab a refreshment before the show begins. Velma's, the bar named in tribute of Velma Keevil, a friend at the theater, has everything you'll need. Including King's-themed reusable cups, available to purchase to keep or leave behind for reuse. Now, it's time for the show as you head through the doors into the stunning theater space. Tucked away at the back of the theater is the tech booth, set up with advancing technologies for both lighting and recording. The control board giving full freedom to the LED lighting grid hanging above the stage. As well, a remote video recording and streaming system available to film a multi-angle video for performances at King's, whether for archive purposes or to stream to those who may not be able to make it to the show. While beaming with history, the combination of the past and the present allows the King's Theatre to be advanced beyond its age and ready for anything that may come its way. And while changes have been plentiful, some of the building has stayed similar to that of its past iterations.
There are not a lot of early pictures of King's Theatre, but the main structure of it has not actually changed that much. However, it did have many, many financial ups and downs over the years, and by the 70s, this space was really run down. In fact, the entire town was incredibly run down. There was a major revitalization movement that happened that brought the town back to life, and King's Theatre was a major focal point of that, of the restoration and renovation process that happened in the late 70s, early 80s. So an addition was built onto King's Theatre, washrooms and a green room, a change room for the artists, and a larger space for the lobby box office area. So that made it into a much more functional theater. So it was reopened in 1982 in its beautiful renovated form. Approximately 40 years. It was how it was when it reopened in 1982. 2016, 2017 was the first major upgrade we did, and that really was just necessary work we needed to do. Really, it was a facelift. It was a cleanup job that was absolutely vital. And then in 2021, during a period of time where we had to be closed due to COVID, timing just worked out perfectly that we could do a major overhaul of some key things that needed to be done.
My name is Devin Fraser, and I am the technical director of King's Theatre. For me, I'm responsible for maintaining the lighting and sound systems and projection system as well, making sure that everything is running and operational. Make sure that when groups are coming in, that they're following protocol, including safety protocol. So our executive director, Janet Larkman, had spent several years putting together a package to bring the facility into the modern age. What was done first is the steel grid was taken out and lighter aluminum grid was put in place with box aluminum and 2-inch aluminum piping. The majority of the lights are ETC LEDs. Actually, all the lights are LED. We still have our old strand dimmer for some side lights, throw some tungsten in for blinders or something like that. But the grid now is completely LED. And so the advantage of that is that, you can have any gel, any color temperature you want. Different effects are very easy to pull up or even to design from scratch. So you can really build a show with, like 200 to 300 cues, full-on effects, and hazer as well. We got a couple hazers. And really make a production that looks like it was done on a large budget with a lot of time investment.
Aside from music, theater, and other in-person performances, cinema is also at the forefront of King's Theatre. Inside, a digital cinema system able to project films in a way similar to that of franchise theaters when it comes to quality.
One of the things that we like to do at King's is try to make the experience almost personalized. During films, for the pre-show, we'll have artists that are planning on coming to do shout-out videos. So people will record videos addressing the audience directly, rather than just doing a standard, video clip from YouTube. Because we're a small theater and we can only run a movie for a short period of time, it takes a while for us to get access to content. And so, for movie trailers, to ingest a movie trailer through DCP, it's got the date on it, but we usually show them a month or two later. We'll make our own kind of customized trailers so that we have a date relevant to the audience that's seeing it. In terms of projecting, we use the CSX server, so most of the content now is digitally delivered. I do try to kind of share how digital cinema works with people, because there is a lot of access to content at home. The technology is completely different. So whenever there's a chance to kind of share that information, what happens when people come to the cinema, what they're actually seeing. I mean, there's a technical side to it, but even the visual difference in experience, it's good to kind of convey that. It's almost in a sense, it's a ritualistic, almost like a religious experience when you see a film. I still think it's very important that people are able to see films in a theater. Local and independent films, we do try to make them as professional as possible. So if someone comes in with an hour-long film that they're going to show here, I will take the extra time to make it into a DCP file so that the experience can be just like any other Hollywood film. We have moved away from the analog mixing, like most places have. And we did have an intermediary board, which was great for a while. Audiences have become much more sophisticated in terms of how they view picture and sound. So we really needed to up the game in terms of delivering higher quality sound. Our sound technician, Jamie Alcorn, he spec'd a Allen Heath Advantis console, but it really brings the theater up in terms of presentation. The board itself is just a board, but it gives us the ability with an experienced technician to really offer a lot of different services. So now we're able to do a proper mix for live stream. We can actually do mixes for anything. We can have 10 mixes coming out of the board if we wanted to. You can have specific compressors that will make guitar sound like it was on an amp from like 1963. So in terms of audience interpretation and audience experience, you're really able to pull them back to a specific point in time.
The other thing that we did, so we've been blessed with a grand piano, so that's part of what we have to offer when we have musicians performing on the stage. But what do you do with a grand piano that's sitting on your stage? It's kind of in the way when you're not using it, and that's just the way it was. We had nowhere to put it. So part of our upgrades involved creating storage spaces in every nook and cranny we could find. So we managed to build an understage storage space for the piano. So that freed up a lot of space on the stage that could then become usable part of the stage. We expanded the catwalk so that the extra length of the catwalk could become storage space as well. And that enables us to have a really clean stage so that we can use it fully as a performance space, but we also use it when it's not for performance space. We use it a lot for workshops. We organize dozens and dozens of workshops every year, and so we have people from the community who come in and they get comfortable being on the stage, and that usually leads them to want to do more. We installed a projector on stage so that we could start using projections as part of our kind of backdrop. The shows that we do now, when I look at them, I think, oh my gosh, we would not have been able to do that show before the upgrade. So we've really just expanded and diversified our production capacity a lot so that we don't really have to say no to very much anymore. We look at the technical rider and we say, yes, we can do that. We can totally do that.
I think King's, it's been around for a long time, and it's had its trials and tribulations. I don't know if it's necessarily nostalgia, but it's nice to go to a place that you can remember being at when you were young. I went here when I was a teenager, the movies that I saw when I was young, and live events as well. So there are those experiences tied to, I suppose, like points in time, right? That you can really relate to. But I think everyone has their own focal point in the theater, and it could be to something that they worked on the stage or as an audience member.
So what we really want is for everybody to feel really good about their experience when they come to King's Theater, whether they're, an audience patron or a performer or a volunteer, whatever their role is. We want them to come in and feel like they're in good hands, that they're well taken care of, that they're comfortable, and that there's something here they know is going to be of high quality. And so we have an amazing staff team. I love them so much. So, our house manager, Gregory Muskie, he makes sure that the artists feel like they're really well taken, well fed, comfortable, etc. Our box office manager, Jessica Scott, makes sure that, patrons are served in a professional way, and she also does our graphic design, so everything looks good and very professional. Our technical director, Devin Fraser, and our sound engineer, Jamie Alcorn, they consistently deliver a very high quality of presentation, and so the artists feel like they're in really good hands in terms of how they sound, how they look. And then the whole staff team, we have like great students who work with us, and as I mentioned, great volunteers. So we want everyone to feel like they're having a high quality experience that makes them feel good. And so we do a lot of work behind the scenes to kind of attend to every little detail.
An extension of the heart of Annapolis Royal, the King's Theatre looks to stay standing for many years to come, in the hopes of not only giving audiences the show of a lifetime, but to also give access and education to the next generation of artists who look to make their mark at the legendary King's Theatre.